Council will now come to order. At 6:07, Ms. Dickey, will you call the roll?
Councilman Brian Rowland.
Present.
Councilman Jonathan Randall. Councilman Kendrick Jones. Councilman Wendy Williams.
Here.
Councilman Sante Wallace.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Our invocation and pledge, if you would stand, if you can. Okay.
Please close your eyes and bow your heads for a word of prayer. Lord, gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this blessed opportunity to be here, Lord. This allows me to be efficient, Lord, so that we may run the city the way it is ordained in your law, Lord. We just thank you in your gracious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Leverett, citizen comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the City Council. First of all, I hope I'll be as brief as I can, but I do have a lot of questions. First of all, the first question I have is the preparation of the agenda. And looking over the agenda, some of the questions that I have to do with the way that it's put together. And I know that you have the authority to put together the agenda. And I'm really wondering if the city council members had anything to do with, or did any of the other council members put anything on the agenda? Because if I remember correctly, I saw the council vote to have something that related to Bureau of Veritas to appear on the next agenda. I don't see it on here. I think I remember you, Councilman Rowland, you had the council to vote and support, and I heard the secretary read it back to you as the way it was supposed to appear. I don't see it. That's one of the complaints that I have, issues that I have, because I too would like to see know who the Bureau of Veritas is and what their responsibility is to the city. The other, item number 3, discussion and take action to set a workshop regarding the role and responsibilities of the mayor and the city council members. I hope that you bring TM Texas Municipal League representatives from Texas Municipal League, because I think that, to me, it's obvious that there is a lot of training that I need to hear. I mean, it's not just the city council, but I think a lot of the citizens could sit in on some of those meetings so that we would know that, we're in line with what it is that we should do as elected officials. Item 7, discuss and consider and take action. You bring in, I'm saying we're getting a K9 dog, and I think if I remember correctly that was brought up before, and for some reason it was found not necessary to bring in a K9, and I think that I'm not knocking that. I'm sure that we are, based on the more population and more things that are going on in the city, I'm sure that our security has to be upgraded, updated, what have you, and I'm sure that all of the assistance with the new police officers that we are having, that we are needing, I'm sure that we need all the help that we can get. Item 8, discuss on James Hughes sewer project with updates. If I remember correctly, that project entails sewer and water. So it's a water issue. I guess I'm asking the council to address that. Is that, that grant, that, I think it was 1.2 million, and it was supported by a $350,000 bond. Where's the water portion of that? And is that going to be included in that project as the funds were received? I noticed that we're looking at a grant for, and I'm sure this is needed also, $350,000 CDBG grant, grant Alta Vista. Is that the upgrade of the Alta? Is that the lift station? Is that the lift station? I know you can't answer me, but you just says Alta Vista, 350,000. It doesn't say dollar. So my question is, what do we have to do other than request it? Because I noticed that you several things in certain neighborhoods. What do you have to do to get our, I call it selective law enforcement. I've asked several times for the city council to put lights on other streets. And, you know, we have a street that's very dark, and we have several inhabitants on that street. For some reason, we can't seem to get a street light on Hollyhock Street. We asked to get the bushes, the trees, overhead trees, that the garbage truck, you know, hit, tear down the street, the limbs. For some reason, we're cutting them trees in the city, but we can't get anything cut on Hollyhock.
Time's up, Mr. White.
Mr. Mayor, I need to from the district down.
You're asking several questions, which is
I'm
fine.
making statements.
And your time for statements is done.
May I have some additional time?
How much more time do you need?
2 more minutes.
Okay, I've given you 4, so I can give you 2 more. Is that okay?
That's fine.
And that'll be the same thing? Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, sometimes, Mr. Mayor, for the record, and you can time it, I can give you the time, but some citizens, without you stopping them, are then selected law enforcement, and I think that's unfair. Okay? Are you granting another 2 minutes? Okay. I've also asked for, there are some other situations that I've asked about concerning code enforcement. I'm wondering who is the code enforcement agent. I know that Officer White was explained to me that he was in charge of code enforcement. At one time, I think you said you were doing that, but there were some garbage cans that were still out. You said it was a fine to be in charge. Illegal. You never pick up that garbage can. And I don't think they've been cited. Also, you have codes that need enforcing in terms of buildings, connecting sewer. I'm sure with a plan. I'm sure that trailer homes with wheels on them allow it to be connected to the sewer system. So I'll be happy to give you in writing the rest of the complaints, if you call it complaints, or requests that I have, and I think they are viable complaints. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bruger?
Good morning, good afternoon, Mayor
Good
and
afternoon.
City Council. I have a couple of things I would like to talk to you about. Same thing I always talk about, the park and the lack of addressing. But right now, I would think that you would be concerned that you have a hole in the park for a month, 6 weeks, that's knee-deep, has no signage to keep you from stepping in it. That's a liability. I don't know if the city could afford such a liability. Second thing, I too want to know what is the process of getting things on the agenda, because there's lots of things to ask about putting it on the agenda and I don't see it show up. Next thing is, you have a city employee using city property with permission, making private money. So if that's going to be allowed, my suggestion, my request is I would like to see that same ability go to the fire department. I watch them mow their property 3 days with the mower that they have. If they had a zero turn, probably 2 or 3 or 4 hours, however long. I just know zero turns go a lot faster. And if you can have a city employee using city property to make private money, then you ought to be able to allow the fire department, who is quasi-government, to use that same equipment to mow their own land, not to make money. The next thing I have to say is I see the growth explosion that's happening. What are our plans? I haven't heard us talk about law enforcement, water, sewer, any of the infrastructure. That concerns me a lot. And then the last thing I would like to talk about, you always, always, always sit up here and talk about the university, how fabulous the university is.
Thank you.
Then how come you are going outside?
Excuse me, Mr. Leverett, last time. Your 2 minutes are gone. Thank you, sir. Chief, please, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Rubin. Sorry for the interruption.
Did I do something?
No,
Okay.
someone else did.
At any rate, we talk about the Prairie View University, but now you want to have an MOU with a university outside of the United States. We don't have a solid foundation here before we can start planting seeds someplace else. I would like for you to really give some thought to that first we need to have a solid foundation before we start spreading our wings. And I appreciate your attention to this. I'll probably talk when you get to your report. There's just some things I hope you cover, but thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Dr. Rita Brown? Ms. Brown?
I was hoping to go last, but I'll say what I have to say now. This mic is not on. It's not working.
Double check, we are checking on getting a better mic because it's not a good mic to begin with. But I'm gonna make sure it is on.
Thank you. Like former Mayor Ron Leverett, I have several items that I need to discuss, and I hope you would be so generous to me if I run out of time to give me an additional minute or two. But the first thing that I wanted to do was thank you everybody for the wonderful service you provide for the city. I'm grateful for that. I wanted to first of all talk about item number 4 on today's agenda. And these committees, there is a provision in the city charter that deals with how you put these two committees together, how you make committees, who initiates it, who makes a recommendation, and who approves it. And what I would like to see is, since we have no senior citizens on our city council at this point in time, and if you look out in the audience, everybody I see except for maybe 3 people are senior citizens, I don't think that's a fair representation of Prairie View. So when we form these committees, I am strongly recommending that we put senior citizens on each one of these committees. And not only that, that we put representatives from the original 14 families on each one of these committees, because they are important and vital to our community. Matter of fact, our senior citizens are the backbone of Prairie View. Item number 5, my Brothers Keeper program. Again, I'm going to tell you, look at the representation we have for our city. And it's predominantly, you take the mayor out because he's not a city council meeting, a member. But Jonathan Randall, Kendrick Jones are not here. But at the same time, you have the majority young people, well, all of them are young people. And if you look again, you only have 1 female on there. So if we're going to do something about Brothers Keeper, I think we should do something about Sisters Keeper too. It's unfortunate, like I said, that we don't have but 1 female on council, but the majority of citizens in Prairie View are female, including students. The majority of students on campus are female. And so if we're gonna do brother's keeper, let's do sister's keeper too. Item number 6, discuss creating a youth council for city council. This baffles me, and it was called to my attention. The last meeting we had, it was on the agenda, and you notice it's Councilman Jones, former mayor, told me, he said, why do we need a youth council? He said, everybody on city council is youth. What we need is a senior citizen council. So I'm saying that instead of doing a youth council, since everybody up here is youth, we do a senior citizen council. And we have plenty of qualified, well-informed, intelligent, well-educated senior citizens who would be glad to serve on that council. Because what we really need is for the young people on city council to listen to what the older people are saying who founded and built this city and take advice from them on the best way to run the city. And on the city charter, I've talked to some city council people, especially some new ones, and I think there's a lack of understanding of what the city charter says the role of the city council is and the role of the mayor is. And I'll say this again, I've been saying this for a long time. In our current city charter, there's no role of citizens other than to elect officials. So you have to be very careful who you elect. Also, I'd like to say in closing, we love our city attorney, and we love him because he's awesome. He listens, and he takes action, and we give him a hard time, especially on 4B. But he's doing a great job at handling us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, we've got no disturbance, I hope. Okay. We have an item on, and it's item, I'm not sure if mine is in sync with everyone. I think there's some different numbers. On the number 10, discuss and consider and take action to adopt an ordinance regarding rental registration.
R10 says regarding substandard structures.
Okay, so Ms. Dickey, I need an upgrade. Okay, but no problem. We can work with it, Mike.
For item 11, it says regarding rental registration.
Okay, so we'll go with you all's. Item 11, if that's what everyone else shows. On item 11, because it is a resolution, we've got a couple of requests to speak on it. Would it not be within my purview to allow residents or those who wish to speak on that issue when we get to that item?
They can speak now during public comments.
Right, but on the, when throughout the meeting, does the mayor not have the power to allow someone to speak, yes or no? Yes, right? I'm just asking, is it a yes?
I would say that I've seen it done both ways,
Okay,
and I've never seen it done here that way. So it just sets a precedent so that in the future, that if somebody wants to speak on a specific item,
no, not if they want to speak. If it's a community issue
okay.
and the mayor has the discretion to open that up, that's the point. It's not,
If we allow,
it's still a public meeting. It's been done here before.
Okay.
Before you, but it's been done.
well, if you
It's not
allow
new.
someone to speak on an item,
Mhm.
then anyone from the public can speak on that item. And then
Sure.
really any items that are listed would open it up for that to be fair. So,
If it's a community issue
you
that
know,
the
if it's
mayor.
listed on the agenda, it's a community issue.
Okay,
So,
okay, then you answered my question, it's a yes. Okay. In moving, yeah, it's on that issue, that's a part of why, in there, I know there were one or two items that expressed interest, that's why I asked that question. So we'll hold it, we're on that topic to give, because I want to give council feedback prior to.
My card, I gave him my card, I haven't been recognized.
Well, did you give it a card after the meeting started, Mr. Perry? Because that's what we've been doing. So are we starting another, I don't want to start another precedence that someone comes in 15 minutes after and turns in a card.
I wasn't here 15 minutes after.
I know, but on the agenda, and I'm just taking the time to do this, okay? It says citizens must complete the card before the meeting starts. what we're trying to do, and you'll see that, but is yours on an agenda item, or you just want to speak to something else?
Let me look at the agenda.
Okay, well, while you do that, you can raise your hand when you finish. On item number 1, consider and take action for approval of the meeting minutes for the regular city council meeting on June 25th.
Mr. Mayor,
What's council's pleasure?
you're still in citizens' conference. Have we moved from citizens'
Yes,
conference?
we have.
Did Mr. Perry turn in the card prior to the meeting?
And Mr. Perry, no, he did not.
No,
That's my question.
the card is over there. The question, you wouldn't know, so
I saw
the
it.
attorney and the city secretary, did Mr. Perry turn in the card prior to us starting the meeting?
No.
Thank you.
It
Item
is-
1.
He turned it in after.
What is council's pleasure on approving the minutes from the June 25th, 2018 meeting? And while they're doing that, Mr. Perry, is your item on agenda or not? Is it something different? You were checking.
Yes, it's on the agenda.
Okay, did you want to speak to it now? You want to speak to it when we get to it? I'll give you that choice. Want to speak to it now?
Yes, I'd like to speak to it.
Come on.
Thank you.
And next time, again, for the public, it's been listed for 2 years. Please turn in your public comment cards prior to the meeting starting so that we'll have it, we can call you, and we can move on to the meeting. Otherwise, 10 minutes after the meeting starts, every time somebody walks in the door and hands one, we'll set the precedent. So we're trying to get the meetings where many of you have asked that they go. We'll support it. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, it's in item number, executive session, discuss the use of city equipment and city use of employment equipment, to state what's on the meeting. But again, thank you, Mr. Mayor and the council, for recognizing me. I have a real concern about the city equipment being used by our employees, and then I as a citizen have to pay for material, time, and equipment that's being used by the city employees. I understand that that was an agreement between you, Mr. Mayor, and the city employee to be able to do these type of items. But I had a project over on 1098. They did not address. I came in, I pleaded with everybody. Couldn't get no relief. You told me, but you told, I guess, the chief that what I need to do is go over there and dig it up myself. So I did that. But we got the problem with the city employee. He's at his house, moving his trailer houses with the city equipment. I got camera footage of that. With the city equipment, he says, you know about it. You allowed him to do that. But yet I'm here right here on 1098. I can't even get him to come dig up my sewer line. I don't understand that. I have a problem with that as a citizen of the city of Porterville. And you know, I look at this as it's a big problem. Why is he at home using it at his house? And I got a city problem, you know. But the problem has been fixed over on 1098. And my other issue is that calling the attention to the city workers that were doing private work for the citizens. And then the city workers say, well, do you want the job? I said, well, it's against the law for you to do the job. I said, because you're not a licensed plumber. The state requires you to be a licensed plumber. Your job stops at the property line. It's against the law for you to go, you know, up on the property. Well, the mayor said that this is what he wants. So if you keep, you know, competing against me in business, it's going to be real difficult for me to be able to stay in Prairie View. And basically, that's all I need to say. Thank you.
And Mr. Perry, since I am allowed to speak on it, what I'd like from you, and I'll get with one or two other people, I'd like specifics. You have pictures? I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
them.
Yes, sir. The
And
chief has them.
the address and things like that?
Right, the chief has them.
Okay, and we will look into it.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Dorothy Carter?
Mine is short. I was here, I carried my card in when you didn't have the beat, so my card's been over there about what's the next phase on 1098. That's all I want to know, what's next? And it's short. And I was here. So my card's been here.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said you was gonna answer me, but you didn't say how about email or, you can email me or whatever, what's going on down our street next.
Okay. That, typically, in the past, my predecessor, Mayor Jackson, has answered these at the end when he did his portion. I'm gonna switch that while you are here and while the issue's on the table. So
You can make
there's
a
precedence.
factual statement or a policy statement.
Not a problem. The 1098 is owned by the state. We have no jurisdiction on it. As a matter of fact, the times when we had a leak that we needed to fix, we had to go to TxDOT and get approval and pay for a TxDOT certified person to dig up the street. So we couldn't touch it. The only thing that, when it was brought to my attention, because this project's been going on for about 4 or 5 years, but once I took office a couple of years ago and I sat in on a meeting with TxDOT, the university, etc., what I demanded was that they do community meetings, and they did those. But that was the only jurisdiction, if you want to say jurisdiction, that we had. So what's next on it, other than the fact that they're, looking to add the dirt and the plants, that's what I was told.
Well, I would like to know verbatim, word for word, what are they gonna do next? That's all I wanna know.
I'll try to get that
And I'm-
into you because of where you live. I
Okay.
think you have a right to know that.
And I wanna thank you too, for listening to, like she said, some of the previous council people and putting that on about the hurricane and all of that. Thank you, and Chief Solomon,
Thanks.
thank you for
Okay, now,
taking good advice.
okay. Ms. Walker, if you don't mind, or would you, when we get to that issue, I'd love for you to speak to it if it's okay with you.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Item 1, consider and take action for approval of the meeting minutes for the regular city council meeting on June 25th, 2018. What's council's pleasure?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from the June 20th meeting.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the meeting minutes from the June 25th meeting be accepted. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let the record show it's unanimous. Item 2, discuss, consider, and take action regarding decorum at city council meetings and city council speaking order and enforcement of the same. The first thing I want to do to council, and I'm sorry we're missing a couple because, and our residents, is I want to publicly apologize for my role in how some of the meetings have been going. I looked at a couple of those videos and I felt the need to apologize because I participated in it as well. And what I'd like to do, because I was wondering, and having gone to so many other council meetings, how do we get there? And I want to apologize for that too, because that's a part of my role. The mayor, as the councils have, and it's in section city purview, city ordinances, long before I took office, section 1.508, presiding officer, election and duties. Item B is in baby. It says, and I'll quote, just for the record and for the benefit of all in attendance, the mayor shall, and in the definitions it says shall is mandatory, it's not optional, okay? The mayor shall preserve strict order and decorum at all regular and special meetings of the council and confine members and debates to the question under discussion. So with that in mind, and of course the chief or whoever his designee would be the enforcement of the decorum. And like I said, I just want to apologize for mine, and what I'd like to request of my council members is that we take today and go forward better than we have been, myself included. I'll be the first one to admit that I could have carried myself better, to say it like that. But I think if we pay attention to this, pay attention to the business of the city and the residents, and we're all, respectful and follow, and councilor is going to act as our quote-unquote parliamentarian, because it's a little easier when you're not up here, if we get off track, for him to reel us back in, and that's kind of what parliamentarians or sometimes city attorneys do.
If I can also speak on that, Mayor?
Yes, please.
I go to a lot of council meetings, and the ones out here are difficult, and we're a little off topic, so I need to do a better job of making sure y'all stay on topic. One thing that I will be doing a lot more, you're going to hear me say point of order. If you are off topic, whether it's the mayor, whether it's council members, and you might hear me say it so much that you're sick of me saying it, but we're going to stay on the agenda, okay? And that's going to happen.
And for the record, that point of order means everything stops. It has to be addressed, the decision has to be made. So that does stop all discussion, because it just means you're out of order, in a sense, again, even if it's me. So I'll accept that.
One of the things that I have as a suggestion going forward is when there's an item on the agenda and you're discussing it, everyone raises their hand, and it's kind of all over the place. So one thought I had was, when an item comes up, Councilmember Rowland is the first to speak on it, and you just go down the line. And then once Councilmember Wallace speaks, if Councilmember Rowland has something to say again, you go down the line again. That way we're not having hand raised back and forth, who had their hand raised, who didn't, who got called first, who got called second. So I put on this agenda to put an action item to try that. Everyone will get to talk. Everyone will, it doesn't matter if it's got to go around 20 times for everyone to say what they need to say. It will not limit debate. It just makes it so we start on one end and move down to the other end. So, and I would like it, council to approve to try that and pass it as a rule, so we can see if that works, and things might get a little calmer. And the mayor's not having to also look around who has their hand up and so forth and whatnot. So that's a suggestion that I had for the council.
Fine by me, council.
Just for clarification, you're just saying that if, let's say, we all have our hand raised, go straight down, but let's say he raises, or Councilman Rowland raises his hand first, I raise my hand second, and Councilman Williams raises his hand third, that we still go straight down.
It's just, it'll always go Rowland, Randall, Jones, Williams, Wallace, and then back again, so that you don't have to worry about who had their hand raised, and everyone can speak once on it, and it goes back around, and everyone gets a turn to speak again.